Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. The next comment or question comes from, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name because it's written in Cyrillic and I don't think there's a direct translation. So I apologise, I can't say your name because it's written in Cyrillic. But whoever writes, in response to upgrading the Roland drivers to Catalina, video I did in January 2020, can you give me the link to this old 10.14 driver pack? Now, many people assume that Roland drivers are a static vendor implementation. However, in Roland's case, you have to install a driver per instrument if you wish to interface with that. So if you, I think Korg has a universal driver from, yeah, Korg does have a universal driver for most of its later synths, but Roland does not. I don't know why, but that's the way it's been implemented. So in order to find information, you are required to go to the Roland main website, which is roland.com. Don't go to the country websites, go to roland.com, because you don't tend to find the information readily available on the country websites. Don't know why, but I think what they do is they just replicate product information. They don't replicate the downloads and the manuals and everything else from the main site. But that's just my experience. Once you're on the site, in the search box, type them, which is at the time of writing this in the top right hand corner of the screen, the name of the instrument you are looking for, e.g. system-1. Instruments then should be returned in the results. Click on this and towards the bottom of the landing page you will find a link labelled support. Click the link and the text is then presented. Click the link to the support docs. And then you'll be presented with a page with a menu on the left hand side. Click the option that says updates and drivers, and then find your instrument using system 1. Click the range N to S, scroll down to system 1, click on the entry. The available driver packs for both Windows and Mac should be displayed. It is long-winded. You know, it's probably easier than I make it sound actually, but it is still long-winded. It's a real faff to get to the drivers on the Roland website, I have to be honest. Anyway, you can also get firmware patches for the instruments from the same route. So I hope everybody who's struggling with this, and I know quite a few people write to me saying, where do I get the drivers from? That's where you get it from, and don't use the country websites, because the country websites, for some unknown reason, don't get you there on all the country websites. Don't know why, that's reality. Next comment or question comes from Michael Baker, and this was a response to the D70. I changed the battery and lost all the sounds, a video I did in March 2022. And Michael writes, would it make sense if you were going to change the battery to leave it plugged in? Of course. Back up first, but thinking you could avoid having to restore the keyboard had the power not been there when the battery was swapped. Right, safety notice. I would never advocate doing this unless you are a very competent technician. Basically, once you open the synth up and on the assumption the transformer is within the case, you will see mains voltage cables, and depending on where you are in the world, that could be 100 volts, 110 volts, 120 volts, 230 or 240 volts, depending on the West. So Europe tends to be 240, 230. Anyway, in which case, in order to reach the battery, you'll need to undertake a degree of dismantling of the keyboard and, in some instances, desolder the battery. And this possesses the following issues: fingers in locations of live mains voltage, and the ability to receive an electric shock, and the ability to have your hair go spiky. Poking around with tools like screwdrivers in locations of live mains voltage, which, if not properly insulated, would also give you a bit of a hair-raising moment. If you cross live capacitors, then you can again induce an electric shock relating to the power and send a surge through the circuitry, which could basically banjex the whole synthesizer. I stress this is not a wise strategy. Ensure that the equipment is always powered off and grounded. In the UK, we have a third pin on the power socket. Have I got an example power socket? No, I haven't. So if you've got a standard IC lead and just doing this, I don't. Oh, I've got no, that's a 2-pin. Oh, there you go. There's IC cable. So if you look at that, there's 3 sockets on there. I can't remember which way around the live and the neutral are, but they're the bottom 2. And that top one is an earthing pin. And basically, that earthing pin is normally bolted to the chassis if it's a metal chassis. And a lot of the synthesizers from Legacy Tech are metal chassis or have metal in them somewhere. So what you tend to find is that is bolted to the chassis, and then that is bolted to an earthing point on a circuit board, and that's how they earth the circuit. So when you switch it off, my advice normally is to switch it off at the mains, but obviously the earth pin always remains in contact. So switch it off and just leave it for a few minutes. And then once you've left it for a few minutes, then you can unplug it from the mains, and you'll know that that has been grounded and discharged with a bit of luck. So that's what I would normally say. Unfortunately, the neighbours have just started doing something, and you can hear them laughing in the background. So that's what I would do. I would never work on a synth that was live if you weren't competent to do so. Occasionally you have to switch the synth on while you've got it open, so you can run checks, or you can put multimeters on various points to understand what's going on, or run oscilloscopes on various things to understand what's going on with chips and circuits. But the bottom line is, changing the battery is a relatively easy thing to do on most synths, but do not do it with the power switched on.